midwife from UK Birth Centres, and today, Jo, I wanted to ask you about breastfeeding because it's a really emotive subject, and I think a lot of new mums, I remember when I first had my babies, you're never sure if you're doing it right, you know, it can be associated with pain. What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, again, thank you for inviting me to talk on this fabulous, one of my best subjects really, because we are made to feed our babies, and there's such a lot of different sort of opinions about breasts and breastfeeding. It's so natural, it's what they're there for. We create this designer milk for our babies. It's human protein, and it's got all the ingredients for a healthy baby and a great start. But our bodies do go through various changes, and the first one happens at birth when the baby sucks. Up till then, our breasts have created, it's like a factory, if you like, on our chest, and it's created these, it's like a tree. They're called lactiferous ducts, and they're little sort of network that take goodness from your bloodstream and make it into milk.
Gosh, this is a clever.
So this milk then, as the baby latches on, now the latch, there's a lot talked about the latch.
Yes.
It's this, if you do the latch right, it shouldn't be painful. Well, I think we have to just reset that thought. Basically, we have got the apparatus, and yes, in time, we will not think twice about how we get the baby on. We'll just look down and the baby will have got on.
Yes.
Our nipples are quite a delicate area on our body, but they will toughen up. It sounds a little bit like, you know, we're talking about something that you can't get your head around, but your nipples will learn to, as the baby sucks, we're trying to have a nice wide mouth so that the nipple and the delicate end of the nipple is away from the gum margin and in the soft palate of the baby's mouth with a tongue underneath. And that rhythmical stripping of the nipple, if you like, the movement to the tongue against the nipple, rippling and sucking, causes the ducts to be squeezed and release the milk. And it's a supply and demand. As the baby sucks, our body learns to create milk.
So that's the letdown feeling, when you get the tingling.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's it. You've described it. It can feel a bit like little pins and needles.
Pins and needles.
Because actually there's about 20 openings in the end of your nipple, and it's a bit like a hose. So as you're sucking, a message gets to your brain, release the milk. So you get this letdown, and that tingling can last for a few seconds. And people describe it as a bit toe curling as well. So
and it doesn't always do the time itself correctly, does it? Because sometimes you can get the letdown even when the baby's
rather inconveniently. That's right. You can be sort of hearing even somebody on the television with a baby, or nipples will get through it. But in the early stages, there's 3 days of colostrum, which is this fantastic antibody-rich, it's full of immunity. It's gently kick-starting the baby's system for digestion. It's got something in it that rids the baby of that first stool, meconium. So it's like an it's like having something to, if you're a bit bunged up. So it's got all this fantastic stuff in it. That then is becomes mature milk after about 3 days.
Yeah.
But what happens? Breasts get very firm and hard.
It can be very painful.
Did this happen to you?
Yes, it felt like they were going to explode.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the bath with flannels on, trying to...
I mean, we're not really painting a wonderful picture here, but I think we're being realistic that these are little phases, and when you hit these little hiccups, what to do about it. So when we call that engorgement, when the milk comes in on the 3rd day, the breast will be full of extra blood supply, extra milk, so they do they do get big. And how do I cope? Well, you've just described. Warm water will help milk flow. And if you're trying to calm things down, cold things. So it can be a mixture. So you might put a bra on and hold some iced peas against it. Or a nice cold cabbage in the fridge.
I've never tried the cabbage leaves. Does that work?
It does. It's the chlorophyll in the cabbage that helps calm down the blood supply. Because, okay, the blood is flushed, it's bringing the milk in, but we don't need it there all the time now. We've got the milk, thanks. Calm that supply. You put the milk, you put the cabbage, it's a nice shape as well. Peel off a leaf and pop it over your breast, and it feels, it's like heaven. And it calms everything down. Then there's different nipple creams, nipple balms that you can put on.
We have the magic balm, which is great.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to help that skin, protecting that skin from the friction of the baby sucking, but at the same time it soothes it as well, so it's giving you relief. It's also knowing that there's people around that you can contact, because we don't want it to be
some support.
Yes, that's right. There can be friends who've breastfed successfully, they're a good source of support. Your midwife. We at UK Birth Centres, we're available to come out and help if girls are finding breastfeeding a challenge. It's not to suffer on your own, really.
Yes, and I think as a new mum, you don't want to feel judged and that you should do things a certain way or not. If you decide that breastfeeding isn't for you, what support out there is there to find out what to do?
Well, again, I'd say there's a midwife, the health visitor. We're all here to. What we don't want is to force anybody to do things that's making them upset or unhappy. For some girls, breastfeeding isn't for them, and in that case, we'd far rather they enjoy their baby, they look forward to being with their baby than dreading every feed. And we want obviously emotionally well and happy mum.
Happy mum, happy baby.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Jo.